So Dave, concrete looks good. Slabs done.
Yeah, they were able to pour it last week, you know.
And I see you still put the radiant in there. We were still up in the air on that, but you know, there's always that one thing, you know, friends don't let friends pour concrete without PEX in it.
That's the perfect line, and I'm a firm believer in that. I just couldn't bring myself to that point of putting concrete down without doing it, so that's awesome. Hey, I'm Dave Sweet. Thanks again for joining us. Today I have Dave Holdorf, formerly of Uponor. He works for Taco for many years now, and he's our trainer. But he is an expert on radiant and installation, applications, and all that. And we're kind of give us a little primer about radiant heating and the advantages and styles of heating. So come join us. Yeah, I was pouring last Tuesday and I couldn't bring myself not to put radiant. And so we quickly grabbed everything, we insulated under the slab. We did the 2-inch around the perimeter the way you told me. It was very important about that thermal break and what goes on. And
yeah, that edge insulation is the most important because that's where, about 60% of the heat loss is just through the edge that you can get right to the outside air temp. So having that amount of insulation is really going to keep this garage nice and toasty.
Right, so I just brought all the tubing back to the location over here and we would just pop through either the foundation wall or the box. In this case, it seemed easier to just go through the box. So
right, excellent. And then that manifold, and we're going to set up that garage as a separate zone all by itself. So this way you can control it as you see fit. Yeah. So yeah, great, excellent.
Yeah, here I'll show you where I put that downstairs. Yeah, so down in the basement, I figured it was easiest just to go through the box and I, mounted the manifold on the wall here. We're going to put 2 inches of rigid, around all the outside walls on the inside as well as outside. So I held it out that 2 inches, to keep the insulation behind it.
Excellent, excellent. Now, typically when it comes to manifolds, we like to see them rotated the other way. But that's mostly if we're adding actuators to each loop.
Right.
This way is perfectly fine for this application because this whole manifold is going to be a separate zone. It has its own zone valve back in the mechanical room itself. So this makes it for a nice, neat, clean installation setup.
Right. I debated about bringing the tubing down that sloppy loop and then coming in from the bottom, but I wasn't going to do zone actuators, so I didn't think it would be an issue. So.
Right. And since the concrete's been in for a while, we had that pressure test on there, make sure there were no leaks in the pipe itself, and we're all ready to rock and roll.
Right.
That's good.
Right, I have the other manifold for the basement that we poured right over here, and that one I still have the pressure gauge on that one. Because this one we did it without a manifold, that one we did, with the manifold to test it. So I'll show you that over here. Yeah, so Dave, over here, this is the manifold for the basement. And to me, I envision it kind of the same way as, just a single zone. I'm not really planning on finishing it, but probably more of a workspace or something like that. But the same little jingle we set up there is like, you can't pour without throwing the tubing, and whether we actually physically connect it to the heating system or not, it's in small expense.
Excellent. Yes, and it's a bigger manifold, obviously, because we've got a bigger space down here compared to the garage. So instead of that garage being 3 loops, down here we're at 4 loops to satisfy the space itself. So again, very low heat loss for the space itself, but it takes that chill off the concrete down here. Minimal heat loss. But it's still getting that heat in the place that you need.
Yeah. Again, 2 inches of rigid insulation on the outside wall. There'll be 2 inches of rigid on the inside wall. We have 2 inches of rigid underneath the slab. So there is a lot of insulation going on around here. So we do have quite a good, way of doing that. So yeah, I took my little pressure kit and I put it on there. And, with the composite manifolds, I typically do higher pressure, but here, I just want to stay within the limits. So I've been maintaining it about 52, 54 for a long time. And so it seems like everything's great on there. No leaks, no nothing.
Yeah. All right. So, you've already used some of this PEX already for the garage and for your basement space. But we're also going to do that for the rest of the house, too. And when I was looking at the designs, and of course with the low water temperature, we've got a lot of different options to install radiant in the upper levels of the home. By far the best, as in lowest water temperature, is having a lot of mass, like the concrete.
Right.
However, response time is up and down, and also adding more weight to the upper level of the home.
So when you do that, you would actually put tubing on top of the floor and then pour concrete on top?
Correct. And typically they'll do a lightweight concrete pour or gypsum based. Where they can just pump it into the house and it kind of levels itself out.
Right.
It's great for sound deadening between floors, but it does add that extra height, extra mass to the house. You need to redesign maybe to make sure the house can handle that extra weight in there. But also, there's other ways that we can do it. We can just take PEX tubing, and we can install it in the joist cavities by itself, what we call a suspended pipe method. Now, I personally like to design with a 3/8 PEX rather than a 1/2 inch. It's just a lot easier, a lot more flexible to install when working in a tight joist cavity.
Right.
However, the PEX by itself can work, but we don't have enough water temperature. All right, we're looking at that 120, 125 degrees coming out of your geothermal system, where this typically requires about 140 in order to do that same application.
Right, if you didn't do plates.
If we didn't do any mass to the system. It works, but you got to make sure you have the water temperature for it. So other ways that we can do is also still on top of the floor, but not with concrete, we can go to a sandwich style system. So this system here lays down on top of the floor, and you screw it down and you snap in a piece of small diameter PEX in here, typically 5/16, sandwich it in, and then your finished floor can go straight on top of that. Great option to go with. We're only adding a 1/2 inch, so you won't even notice it adding height-wise to the house itself. Now, other options that we have are also going from below the floor with a flexible plate like this, which now will transmit the energy from the pipe itself out to its edges to simulate that mass like we have with concrete.
Right.
And then there's a heavier gauge aluminum plate that the tubing snaps into also. And that also absorbs a lot of the energy. And going from a straight staple up system to a plated style system can drop the water temperature almost 40 degrees.
Oh, wow.
So when we're going to have a little bit of mixture of both. We're going to have some suspended because, again, the heat loss is low in the house. But I'm also looking at some of the more critical areas of the house where you spend a lot of your time, bathrooms, main living space here, kitchen. But I found also in a few of the areas like your utility room in the back and closet space, we can do just straight staple up. And I also designed it that way so we can get close to a single water temperature to make the mechanical room easier. So we don't have to worry about mixing valves. We're going to come right off the geothermal tank and control the water temperature that way.
Yeah, I think in that printout you were talking in the 90s, the water temperature, the design like that was like 98 or 90.
98, 99. You know, I think one room calls for about 105.
Right.
But, you know, so we'll set the geo for 105 in the rooms that need a little bit cooler.
Right.
That just means they'll satisfy maybe a little bit sooner. If I had left plates everywhere, then all of a sudden the software said I needed 75-degree water to heat the room. All right, I eliminate the plates, we eliminate some cost. All right, ease of install. You know, I was still looking at this for your options because this still gave us the same water temperature requirements, but also knowing that you want to try to build the greenest house possible, meaning less materials. Obviously, you know, we got to fill the entire floor with more plywood. Where this is going to do the same amount from below the floor, and we have less materials going in. A little bit more labor involved, all right, but then again, less materials installed. What's interesting is that I put an addition on, all right, and also have the in-laws living next door, and I also did radiant in their addition. And I analyzed my fuel bills, and my fuel bills ended up being the same as they were. With the additions.
Oh, wow.
So my fuel bills and another kitchen, another laundry room. So my gas bills ended up being the same as they were before we did all this renovation in addition to the house. So, I mean, that's the other advantage to the radiant.
A third or more square feet or something like that. Keep it the same, that's amazing.
It was good, so yes, definitely. With the different water temperatures, the floor coverings that we have going in, the heat loss of the house itself, you know, that's all one part of the design. But the second part, or probably the more important part of the house, is the zoning. I mean, because we're doing hydronic, all right, and radiant floors, and because of the way that you have these limitations on pipe lengths and installs, you get to zone the heck out of it. There is no such thing as how many zones is too many here. It's also about how you live in the house. So for example, like here, you know, we have our foyer. You've got your dining room here. How often is the dining room used?
Very little.
So why heat that room to 70 degrees all winter long when you're spending a lot of time in the kitchen space, in the family room? So we'll put a separate thermostat in here. You can change the temperature. Since we're doing that plated system, it'll be a fast response time. It'll come up quicker compared to the concrete. So do a zone here. Maybe the foyer, maybe not. We can combine these two here. All right. We can do the family room as one, the kitchen as one. Even though they're wide open to each other, we can separate that zone.
Oh, you could.
And because when you think about how you use each one of these rooms, so that family room, you're typically on the couch, and you are lower than the thermostat itself. So when your thermostat's mounted on the wall here, and you're sitting down on the couch and chair, you're lower than that. So you might want to have a different water temperature, different air temperature there.
Oh, okay.
And then in the kitchen space, obviously, heart of the home.
Right.
Lots of stuff going on.
Cooking, producing heat.
Right. Heat generation devices going on. All right. And you are above the thermostat. All right. So you can separate the two of them. So this way, where do you put it to balance the system out? All right. To make the comfort level that you're looking for.
Well, that was awesome information. I really didn't think about the zoning. I knew about, floor finishes and other things. When we give you the information, you ran that heat loss and, layout and design, but the zoning, it's like a whole nother thought in itself, about remembering lifestyles and, where to group things together and the way things go. That's awesome.
Yeah, most definitely.
Is there any other resource somebody could turn to get more information that's following along?
There's a lot of information out there on the internet. All right, some of it can be scary. All right, but one of the best websites I've been able to find so far, where it gives you enough generic information to really learn about it from an installer standpoint and also from a homeowner. All right, for a lot of the terminology that you and I throw back and forth, to really understand it. The website is the Radiant Professionals Alliance. All right, RPA. For example, they've been around for a long time doing and really trying to promote radiant heating as some of the best ways to heat a home, and also hydronics for that matter too. So there's a lot of information there. There's a lot of design manuals. If you don't want to do any of the designs yourself, all right, they have certified contractors that go through a lot of training to really learn all about and make the best systems for you and make the best choices for you also. Or really just be more educated when you're talking with the customer itself, the contractor. So great place to find a lot of information there. Even, you know what they even have?
What?
They have a guide just talking about what flooring to use.
Oh.
To keep that R value down and things like that. So like when I was talking about that carpet,
Yeah.
they have a radiant flooring guide just by itself.
Okay, well that's a resource right there. Download, print it, and look at that. Yeah.
Correct,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you
problem.
taking your
My
time out
pleasure.
of your day. And
Give me a call when you're ready to rock and roll with the rest of the floors here, and I'll swing by and give you some help.
Perfect. That was awesome. Dave showing up over here. He's really a knowledge base when it comes to radiant heating and cooling and products related to that. So awesome. Stay tuned. That's really neat. Hey, in our next episode, we're going to find out more about septic systems. I live in a rural environment around here, so I don't have sewers, I don't have city water. So we have, a private septic system as well as a well. And we're going to get one of the guys to come over and give us some primer on, why you want to put it in and what kind of style of systems there are. So stay tuned.